We are discussing how to manage family finances. And we are at the level where we're emphasizing the importance of having a budget. That the husband and wife must of necessity agree a budget. And we have agreed that a budget must include the income side and the expenditure side. And for it to be a good budget, the two must balance. In other words, you must show clearly where each item on your expenditure how it will be covered. That's what you call a balanced budget. And so we have also gone to ask what items are very important in your budget. And we have stated the first two is money that is not related with your use. Money that you need to spend in order to extend God's kingdom. It's the first thing you need to budget for. Then we said you need to budget for taxes, the money given to the government, because you are living in a community and God has established government so that the community would be better off. So do not be a parasite. You need to put money to pay your taxes rather than try to avoid them. Now then, we said, having paid those two, now you're ready to think about yourself. And we said that the Word of God says, love others as you love yourself. Therefore, it means if you don't love yourself, you are likely to love others. So that's why self-consumption or meeting your personal needs and that of your immediate family must be included in that budget. And we spent time talking about why this is important. But there's something else also. Your money is supposed to help the poor. The Israelites were told, even when you are harvesting, you must not harvest everything. The poor are allowed to come behind you, picking out anything that remains in the garden, and you should deliberately leave some for the poor. If you want to enjoy God's blessings, one of the things that God expects you to do is to help people who are unable to help themselves. It's a pity that because of our extended families, we feel like we have helped enough. So if you don't have any extended family yourself in Africa, you could very easily end up totally destitute. So we'll find that in the West, they have a lot of charities, organizations that collect money and help the poor. Trying to do the same in Africa, very few people are willing to give. In fact, they assume the West is giving because they are rich. But I once was in Canada, and on the TV I watched as I think it was World Vision raising funds, and I realized they're asking for $1. They're asking for very little. It means that the poor may be the ones that are giving a lot for the money that is used in Africa. And some of the people giving in the West may not be as rich as many of us in Africa. But we don't seem to have the concept of helping people outside our immediate family, and it's not a very good thing. So there are two items that must be on your budget. The first is money for your extended family, and the next one is money for the poor who are not related to you. And those are two separate items that need to be dealt with. You know, it will be a very, very, very critical issue to raise, because the scripture certainly does expect us to help our extended family. But you must first of all agree that it is useful. When you talk about the extended family, we are talking about your siblings and your parents on your wife's side, on your husband's side, who are the children are the cousins of your children and their parents. That's part of the extended family. And that extended family, whether in the West or in Africa or wherever, is very, very useful. Because it's the immediately a family gets into trouble, it is that extended family that comes in to support. And whether it is in terms of advising, in terms of finances, in terms of, it's a very, very important thing. And it's a pity if you are running your family and you do not have an eye on your parents, an eye on your siblings. I think that will be very important. Extended families play an important part in at least some of the areas that you are going to be getting a challenge on. And it's my prayer that you are not going to ignore them. Of course, some of them we are calling them in-laws. No matter what you think about your in-laws, they are part of your extended family because they are related with your spouse, and it will be very important that you then see how, if you are good to your wife, you will also be interested in what she is interested in, which is an important issue that you need to deal with. So you cannot ignore, for sure, you cannot ignore your in-laws. They are part of your extended family. You know, this extended family have your genes. And that's why you need events. In addition to running your family, going for holidays as your family, you need events that can bring your children, cousins together. That way, your children have relatives that they are able to play with and grow with. This will encourage, communication between your children and their grandparents. And there are things they can learn from their grandparents that you yourself may not be able to teach. And also their cousins and their uncles and their aunts. All those are part of the family. And as they start learning their family tree, giving them identity, it also helps them in their self-esteem. And that is something your child will need as they understand their background. It also gives stability to understand that even if they will have to have a problem with their immediate parents, they also have a wider family of parents, which is important. And of course, the problem we are talking about may be related even to the divorce. If you ended up having a divorce, the extended family would play a role in creating some stability for the child who has already been traumatized by the separation of the parents, and some stability and some continuity. I think if the family always gathered in the grandma's house on a certain maybe either once a month or once a year or once a quarter, even after the divorce, they will still be welcome to those meetings, and that will give them some stability long term, because although these particulars two have disagreed, the whole extended family hasn't, and that will give your children stability. But I think the most important is cultural identity, because these extended family are the ones who give the extended identity for your children, especially the grandparents. They give their old stories and where they came from, talking about their parents, who are your children, great grandparents. It can assist in passing on cultural teachings and traditions, including the language that the children are going to speak. They normally will tell stories. They will talk about skills and teachings and the background, and the various happy occasions that the family has come from. It will also help your children draw their family tree right up maybe to great grandparent, and that will be important. This sense of belonging cannot be something that is actually banned, and they do not doubt where they belong, even if the parents were to die or be separated. because this gives them some kind of an assurance that they still belong to the families of the extended family, whatever the cause or the death or whatever actually has happened. Of course, I do admit sometimes some of the members of the extended family may be questionable character. You have told your children that, they understand, but they still know that you need to learn how to accept people because they belong to you, although their behavior may not be right. Don't copy it, but they are still part of and parcel. And that will teach them, even when they belong to other teams, about accepting people in their team. You know, your parents, who are the grandparents of your children, will help you as a parent, because as the children see how you respect your parent, it also shows them how to respect you, and what the role they play in your life will also help the children to understand why you should also play a role in their lives, your own children. And you see, the good thing about this family is that people love you without expecting anything back. In school, they are learning that almost any friendship has strings attached. But in the extended family, everybody loves each other and jams with each other, looks forward to meeting, and they are not expecting to be paid for it. And they listen to you, they are proud, your grandparents are proud about you, they see you, they see your every success as their success. And I think that's an important. It helps to grow the child as the parents, the grandparents admire. And even through challenges and they are facing and how they cope with the challenges, the grandparents and other people, it helps to grow your children to understand how to go through challenges. And whatever the crisis they are likely to be in. So you can see clearly there is a reason why you need to invest. I think it will be very important to invest in creating relationship, which will then need to be included in your budget. And I think that will be something we pray that doesn't die in Africa, because in Africa it is something that has been on for a long time, and I think it will be important to keep talking about it, because some of these African traditions disappear on their own, and they are not practiced. Remember, our argument is that anything that matters to you will be known it matters by whether you budget for it, which is important. But if you really want that relationship to last, you must budget for meetings, even if it costs money to drive all the way to your in-laws, to your parents, with your family. Please extend. Of course, you may not afford every month, but you can afford every quarter. You may not afford every quarter, but maybe you can afford every year. It will be important that you budget the physical meeting together, and also budget the electronic meeting together. These days they are calling them online meetings, because the important thing is your family and the other family must be able to meet. If you don't want it to die, even if it's costing money, you better budget for it. And it's important to understand that they may not force themselves on you. If you don't invest any time, relationships die easily. You know, you can assure your parents or your in-laws that the connections matter, and they'll know that by whether you call them and what you do about it. But the meeting is one thing, but the second thing you need to do is be concerned about their celebrations. Don't forget the wedding anniversaries, the birthdays of your siblings' children, and and your siblings, they now know you care, that you are part and parcel of their lives. And I think that will be important. Celebrate with them. They pass their exam. You want to celebrate with them, that, and your children also be very happy that their cousin has done well. So they feel like they have a cheer team, or the extended family is a cheer team for any one of them who does well. But it also means that if they are going through a difficult time, either through sickness or financial crisis or whatever it is, or social crisis like possibility of divorce, whatever, the whole clan will come in a support and trying to help somebody within that area, whatever the particular need is. And I think that will be important, that you spend your time on it. And of course, it also means that if they do wrong to you, you learn how to forgive them and how to openly say, rather than let it keep simmering inside you. You openly tell them that something is wrong, and why it is wrong and why you don't like it. They might apologize. You should forgive them very quickly. They might refuse to apologize. You forgive them for your own good. And that's the way to keep the extended family still functioning, because there will certainly be disagreements. However, you must create boundaries. We are not saying that your family and your brother's family or your sister's family become one. No, we emphasize the fact that God said, for this reason a man shall leave his father and mother. That includes leaving your siblings also. So you are not going to relate as one family. You are going to relate as extended family, where each person, there are boundaries for each family, which you are not supposed to enter into. But then in addition to that, you know where to come in and where not to come in. You cannot treat your sister-in-law as if she was your wife. No. I know there are jokes in Africa that because if your brother died, you could easily take her over. That's not a Christian approach to the matter. So you must create boundaries so that you do not become too free with your brother-in-law, with your sister-in-law, or with other people whom you want to be close to, but there must be clear boundaries. Sometimes it's even the way you allow the in-laws to operate. The wife can be so connected to her parents that the parents are running your marriage, which will, of course, be bad. The key to make the expectations clear upfront is to come out openly, right from the beginning, stating to your parents that, before I can make a decision, I always consult my husband. That way they know that they cannot expect you to do anything before you have fully consulted. It's even the kind of number of visits you make to them also has to be cleared. It can be beneficial to role play with your partner about the whole issues. To try to say, if this happens, this is what you do. Thinking about the various situations and circumstances, and ask yourself which is the best way of handling it. So that if it actually happened, you know how you can deal with it, because you thought about it in advance. And I think that will be very, very important if you are going to be somebody who will benefit from this extended family idea. And it's critical. But the Word of God is actually very clear on this matter. 1 Timothy chapter 5 verse 7 and 8 says, if anyone does not provide for his relatives and especially for his immediate family, he has denied the faith and is worse than an unbeliever. You see, if you don't have in your budget any money to help your extended family, and I've defined extended family as the the children and grandchildren of your father-in-law, your mother-in-law, your father, and your mother. All those are what I'm calling the extended family, headed by the two grandparents to your children, or the two parents. If you do not include them in your budget, either in visiting them, whatever it costs to keep the relationship alive, or sometimes even in helping them financially, if that becomes necessary, I think there will be a problem. Because here the Bible is saying, if anyone does not provide for his relatives, provide means you meet their cost, and especially for his immediate family. That may mean your children and your spouse. Hey, my friend, it doesn't mean you are an unbeliever. You are worse. So to claim to be having a Christian family, and you have certainly not included in your budget any way of helping the needs, especially of your parents and the parents of your spouse, I think there will be a question mark according to this verse. You know, Paul advising Titus and Timothy tells them about the importance of helping widows. But he says, if a widow has relatives, close relatives, the church will not help them. It should be the responsibility of the relatives to help. That means if your brother has died and left the wife, you as a couple should be budgeting to see how to help her. She had two wage earners, her husband and herself, with 4 children to look after. Now she is left with only her income. Maybe chipping in a little, as much as, of course, you can't forget your own family. That's what you said, you are budgeted for it. But you need to ask yourself, what can we afford in order to actually help them? To let them struggle on their own completely without any way of helping them, I think this verse will apply to you. And I think that will be something that you ask yourself. If anyone does not provide for his relatives, that's something that you need to ask yourself. Are you doing that? So in your budget, are you budgeting money to help your spouse and children? You and your spouse, are you together agreed on how to run that money? Question 1. Question 2, have you left some money specifically to be used for investing in relationships in your extended family? People that you feel part and parcel of that family in their joys and in their sorrows. Do you do that? Third question, are you noticing where there may be somebody with a financial need? Maybe they are sick and they're having a medical bill, maybe something. Before you can help outsiders, why wouldn't you invest in helping your immediate family, the extended family? I think that will be very important. The Bible here is separating the two. There is relatives in the extended family, but also there is immediate family. So obviously you can see the Bible expects you to be involved, not just in your immediate family, but also in your extended family. Why do people not help the extended family? I can only guess. Number 1, they may not be aware about the scriptures. Like the scripture I'm reading, you can see it's very clear. And so they emphasize one part of the Bible that says a man shall leave his father and mother. And that's what they emphasize. They forget the Bible is one unit from Genesis to Revelation. And so you cannot emphasize the leaving and forget about that. Even if you have left, the needs your extended family have, you may need to deal with them. So sometimes it's lack of knowledge, lack of information. Could we actually explain? And we need to teach about these matters in our churches as part of discipleship. And we are not going to change the Bible. We can only teach what the Bible has said about the issue of extended family. But sometimes the reason why the extended family suffers and some people don't feel obliged to help them is because of the interference. In other words, there is parent interference. So you finally feel the only way our marriage can survive is to keep off. And so it can easily cause, failure to obey the scriptures here, but it's actually caused by understandable problems from people. Maybe they are siblings who want you to take over their lives. They're earning the income, but because they want to live a little above their level of income, they think that you, because as a family you're earning more, you should take over. That's not a need. To raising their standard of living is not a need. So that may be, you may feel like they want to exploit you. So in the end, you don't help at all. My suggestion is, since you are not being forced to help where you know there is a genuine need, where you know you can afford it. Within those two parameters, just help. They might be still unhappy with you because you didn't help as much as they wanted. But in your heart, you know you did something. And you know they cannot go under because you have already invested in them. But that's an issue that we have to deal with, where you have, number one, relatives who want to be supported rather than work. They would even, some of them even, you have parents who go and get a second wife, because after all, the son is now a rich man. So, and they even expect you to be involved in the paying of the dowry and educating those children, because the guy is old. He expects to start getting children with a younger wife, and you as a son to start operating. And you can see it can cause a lot of problems. Again, I say the rule is the same. Is it a need? If it's not, you don't have to support it. Number two, can you afford it? Number three, what can you do in order to be of help? So that he knows you help, but although you never helped him in the way he actually wanted to be helped. And that is something that we need to deal with. The third thing that causes extended families to have a problem is when you have people starting to look up on the rich guy. In other words, for example, the firstborn son is not given the respect of a firstborn because the youngest son has become richer. That will spoil the relationship. You need to support the extended family, but not like a bank. You need to be very careful. That's why I normally recommend, if you want to help your siblings, why can't you give your parents the money to pass on to them? So that it sounds like it's your parents who are supporting the sibling rather than yourself, assuming your parents are responsible and will do the job as agreed. That way, your siblings don't start robbing you, because the trouble is when you help someone, they feel helped, but later they feel like you have taken over the role of the father, and there can be strains within it. So we need to be very careful how we help. We help people and yet allow them to retain their dignity. That way you can still continue relating as brothers and sisters under your parents when they are still alive. And even after they die, that relationship of the extended family can continue because you have retained dignity even in helping one another. And that when you come together, there is no throwing around of weight about the money. And that you do not make it a subject. What car are you driving? And making people feel like you want to exhibit your wealth. That is not good. You must help, but you need to be very careful. You are not meeting on the basis of wealth. You are meeting on the basis of you have the same blood relationship as extended family. And I think that if you do that, it will help. So as we finish, please remember you must allocate money to look after your immediate family and your extended family. Number two, that if you don't do so, the Bible is saying you might not even know God. That's why you are not touched by the needs of your of your relatives. Number 3, you need to be very interested that relationship helps you to witness to them, so that you are, before you can go to outsiders, your immediate family, your extended family, hear the gospel through you.